Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. How is everybody doing tonight? Well, I tell you, we got some interesting things going on, and I read an article that was on Eastern news services about Canada. I'll get into that. That's why I got "Oh Canada" in my title. So, plus Ron Paul and General Mike Flynn talking about a Black Swan event. Now, what's that colonel's name? His last name starts with an M. Man, I keep forgetting his name. He's given some interviews to Tucker, so he's mentioned it too. It's being mentioned quite a bit, and the way the winds are blowing, they got to come up with something. So the polls keep coming out, and they're looking awful strong for Mr. T, even though they bolster themselves up with their court cases where they always feel they got Mr. T on the ropes, so to speak. Let's see, we got Jackson here. We got David. How you doing? Awaken Trillium. Diane. Nice to see you, Mary. Everybody's real. Hi, Nikki. How you doing? Rubber Toe. Sherry. I hope you all hit the thumbs up when you come in. That way you don't got to go out and hit it on the way out. Ha, ha, ha. Hi, Araceli. How you doing? Lone Wolf. Yabba dabba doo. Okay. All right. Yabba dabba doo. Sissy. All right. Well, did you all watch Tony B? Tony B. I tell you what, the memes are going around about occasional Cortex. She gets involved in anything. She's always putting her foot in her mouth. Do you think that might be on purpose? I don't know. But there's one meme where the guy's on the Swiss Alps with the big long horn. You know the commercial, and they go Ricola. She's up there in the meme going Rico, Ricola. So she was saying RICO is not a law. What law did Joe break? And Tony Boblinski was like, well, you let me get a word in edgewise, I'll tell you. He said RICO, and he said FARA, F-A-R-A. That's the Foreign Registrations Act. If you're getting money from any foreign source, you gotta declare it. RICO laws. That's what it is with the Ricola horn. She's going RICO laws, RICO laws. So anyway, just a crazy situation. And we talked about Tony B, is what I call him, Tony B. We talked about him many times before this. And he did mention again the clearance we've talked about in the past, a particular letter, like the white ball on the pool table, right? The white ball on the pool table. He mentioned that. And he also calling them out by name is Jamie Raskin, of course, and Dan Goldman. And he brought up something about Dan Goldman I thought was interesting, and it's a thread, and it's a connect the dots that is very interesting with the Southern District of where? Of New York. So very interesting indeed. And we're going to talk about that tonight, along with a lot of other stuff. Kicking bird, yeah. I thought RICO was a man. What's wrong with RICO? What's wrong with RICO? Is he a pretty good guy? Yeah, what laws he didn't break? Yeah, I had buffering with my other program. I think it was the app. Hi, Ali. How you doing? Jersey Joe, jet lag. Nice to see you. Araceli, how you doing? David's here. Mary's here. I got to welcome my new subscribers. I appreciate y'all subscribing. And I made a new friend in New Zealand to add to my international contacts. And he does a channel, and he just does true crime. He seems like a nice person, but he had an interesting take on the political situation. Very briefly, he mentioned something very briefly, and then I realized that those news services are highly monitored and controlled. So I don't know. Might pick his brain a little bit about what their perceptions of what's going on, and it's not good for Mr. T. But hey, people, they get stuff told stuff over and over and over again, and never hear an opposing view. You're going to have to try to get them to see the light, right? But anyway, I encouraged him to open and buy me a coffee and help him out with his channel. I think he's very happy with that. It's a good service, and his listeners can help him. So maybe we'll do a live stream together. It'd be good to get if I do it on his channel, I'll give you all notice and let you know. And maybe he'll want to talk about stuff that I'm talking about. Maybe he'll want to talk about true crime. I don't know. But he did say he wanted to do a broadcast with me. So we'll see how that works out. So, hi, Melinda, Island Girl. How you doing? Nice to see you. Doesn't hurt to get out a little bit, stretch your legs up, and talk to more people. Pappy Two Bears, how you doing? All right, Melinda, that's good to hear. I hope you don't have a water saver laundry. We'll be sitting here all night waiting to throw it in the dryer. Hi, David. How you doing? Yeah, I had somebody putting comments on that last community post I did. What I was talking about, the coordinated message, and now that I think about it, I kind of responded back and forth a little bit. And he made a comment like, you really should keep an eye on who you let comment. And that was all he said. Something very similar to that. It's not exact words. And I was like, okay, I'll go ahead and, hit the button and you're out of here, because it was pretty much the same thing AOC was saying, that Biden didn't do anything wrong. And I mean, you got Hunter with the taxes, Hunter with all kinds of stuff. Hi, Andrew. How you doing? And do they really believe that, or are they, like shills that are paid, or people in territories where they don't get the whole story? Like a lot of the countries I'm talking about. I don't know. But anyway, so I thought it was interesting listening to Bob Alinsky. They do the usual time limit thing and interrupt the answers and go on a pontification. And Bob Alinsky, I thought he did very well trying to get his message out. But he said that Jamie Raskin and Dan Goldman are both attorneys, and I've said it many times, it's going to play a role. It's going to play a role when things get down to brass tacks and we have to straighten things out. We can't continue to have practicing attorneys who engage in lawfare. That's not the purpose of the law, is to create strife and twist things around and have total control of a media bullhorn and drown out lawful conversations and dominated with their own. So I think it was Rand Paul was calling for, was it Letitia James to be disbarred? I don't know. I'd have to look it up. One of them. Well, it might have been Vivek. Yeah, Vivek calls for Letitia James to be disbarred. And she's in the news because she's taking the first steps to act on confiscating Trump property. So that is making the news, along with a lot of other things. And I thought that was something that had to be done as far as an appeal or an appeal bond or a stay by the 25th. Okay, so today's the 21st, and I don't know that they can actually lawfully take actions until a certain time. But then again, you know, without this, what they call a new law or a new statute, and Goron wouldn't have been lawfully able to do what he's done to this point. And I've never heard of judges being able to move forward after an appeals court has found them in error or, you know, told them to get rid of part of a case, just like they did with the statute of limitations. But he keeps on going. He finds ways to twist it around and lawfare, right? So anyway, we'll see how that turns out. But I don't know that the bar as we know it is going to survive this. I've floated in the past that we need to have a new regulatory body besides the bar. And I'm familiar with British accreditation registry and all the different terms that pretty much let us know it's not really homegrown. But you know, common law comes from the crown, right? It comes from our British cousins, right? So we have to have some anchor to our founding laws. But hey, we got that going all the way back to Moses, right? And we'll see what happens with the Bar Association. How you doing, Donna? Nice to see you. Roland, how you doing? Oh, they paid him $10 million, you say? Well, they're going to be digging up stuff. They're going to be digging up stuff. They can't hide it. Dan Scavino posted a video with what's his name? The guy that's on Fox News, the financial guy. Oh gosh, Larry Kudlow, and he was doing a little interview. And he was talking about when Trump was dealing with these, what do you call them? Leading, or no, he called them big shot mullahs, something like that. He was saying, hey, when big shot mullahs, he said, Trump, when he was in office, he was telling them, do what you have to do, but I have your cell phone number and street address. And that was what he was referring to, was basically how to handle these individuals that are in charge of a lot of the violence over there in the Middle East and also here in this country. So with Scavino doing that post, and Scavino is also where I got that thumbnail that I put up, the picture thumbnail. I thought it was interesting. he put up the picture of a lion. It says, never announce your plan, never announce your moves before you make them. And that was the last post I saw from Scavino. And he also posted a short video that was a song playing Latinos for Trump. So that was pretty neat. He's posted that before. But let me see what's going on. My chat's froze up. There we go. There's Georgia. How you doing? Nice to see you. Oh my goodness. Andrew, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Governor Pritzker better stay away from me. But I saw something on the Eastern news services that is very disturbing, but I'll read it to you. Something that happened in Wisconsin. This is the kind of stuff that's going around all around the Eastern Bloc, okay? Russia, Poland, all around. Anyway, in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, 4 men aged 18 to 20, African Americans from Wausau, came to Stevens Point to have some fun at a club. However, since they were under the age of 21, they were denied access. So no indication as to their legality to be here. So, but anyway, the story goes on to say any sane human being would like to vent his frustration, but they decided to assault a 61-year-old man who was homeless and broke into his truck. They punched, knocked, kicked, and stomped him, and also dragged his BODY across the ground. The video shows the aftermath, and I didn't even take a still shot of it. I mean, somebody laying on the pavement, very distressing. Nobody needs to see that. The 61-year-old homeless man has since then died. They are not charged with red rum, but instead with, air quotes, fatal assault. All of this happened at around March 15th. And I believe, this is the reporter, it is not even national news in the U.S. I haven't heard of it. Have you all? They were first arrested and were in custody, but the 3 were let go on bail and are roaming free. Sad state of affairs in America. So that's one of many stories. And I'll get to, I got that video of Macron's wife, right? Off Eastern news services, and a lot of commentary on events that happen that involve people who are at odds with their natural condition when they're born, right? I'll put that. Is it okay to say that? Hi, Rick, how you doing? Tracy, how you doing? Angel, nice to see you. Roland says lawyers are not supposed to be in Congress. So I've said that many times. Many times. Jax, you hadn't heard about it? How you doing, Jax? That might have been what Hochul. No, Hochul was talking about a little girl. Or I'm not sure. I can't say. I won't say. I don't know for sure. But I'll tell you something else that came out, forwarded to Eastern news services concerning a situation in Canada. And This is interesting. Secret RCMP reports warns that Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. And have we got any friends from Canada? They can tell everybody what RCMP is. How you doing, Moonshine? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Ian says M-Law will be the tipping point. Yeah, and as I've said, I believe it will be. I even heard X and then 22 say the same thing. It was either yesterday or day before. The same thing I've been saying for months, that it's going to be the Biden bunch that calls out the martial, and then the other word is law, because Trump is going to have clean hands. So I don't know. You know, we're all on the same wavelength. And Sissy asks, why did A and then OC, why was it allowed to question Bobo Linsky? Well, she's a member of the House of Representatives. Apparently she's on the committee that's called him in, and each committee member gets a certain amount of time to ask questions. So, yeah. Then they put it all along with their talking points, and it's getting old. It's getting old. They're so ridiculous. Oh, they're called neighbors now, Nikki. Neighbors. That's what Mr. T said. Yeah. All right, I see it. I see Andrew. Yeah. Roland says Tishy is being sued for far worse fraud. Oh yeah, I saw that about the what was the names of the people? Cahill and what was his name? There's another name involved it sounds Irish or Scottish. Cahill was the name of the people who own the building. And the other name, I don't know, was, I don't know. I can't think of it. Cahill and Macadoodle, or something like that. I don't know. But she ran cover for the people that loaned the money. And to the Cahills, $3 million. And it turned out that they misrepresented the property. It's there in New York. Said they had air rights that they didn't have, and said the property was worth like 3 or 4 times its actual value, and they did not have the air rights. Let me see if anybody knows the other name involved. I know the people that owed the money was Cahill. I had a friend named Cahill. Let me see. Does anybody get it? So they put a hold on the mortgage. They said the mortgage was not done properly or some nonsense. The long and the short of it is they're trying to screw this guy out of his money, and where this Cahill character doesn't, or the Cahill group that's supposedly nonprofit that owns this building, doesn't have to pay anything back. And I'm like, why would you get in between a battle like that? So there's some kind of funny business going on. That's all going to bubble up and come out too. Did anybody know the other name of the person that loaned that $3 million to the Cahill bunch on that property? But what Tish was looking at was a golf course that Trump has in upstate New York. And what's the name of that golf course? Boy, I tell you, I got notes on so much stuff that's going on. I was going to put in the thumbnail repugnant. I haven't heard that word in a while, but that's what Bob Alinsky was saying, that the deals and their behavior, Jim Biden, everything, it was repugnant to him. He talked about how him and his father and his both his grandfathers served in the military, were willing to give their lives, and then to watch Jim Biden, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, all of them, you know, like worms in a clump of dirt, talking about that money. And who was the guy? Oh, Abby Lowell. He called him out by name. Abby Lowell, Hunter's attorney. He said that the strategy Abby Lowell's using is writing letters that, according to Bob Alinsky, are full of falsehoods and slanderous, or I don't know if you would consider it slanderous or libel, but it was defaming to the Bob Alinsky name. But he's getting around it by writing letters to Congress that the members of Congress are hanging on to and don't have to make public. And Bob Alinsky said, I challenge him to come in here to this public hearing just like I am, quit hiding behind the letters, and say what you're going to say. Get it out in the open. So he was calling them out big time. Libel by letter. And then Jamie Raskin spoke up crying, wanted to see if he could shut Bob Alinsky up about the rules. We're not supposed to say bad stuff about each other. And that was rich coming from him. As much stuff as he said about Mr. T and his supporters, namely fellow Americans, that was repugnant to me also. But he said he served 6 years in the Navy, and he had that special letter security clearance, you know. And he used a word I found very interesting, corrupt enterprise, okay? A corrupt enterprise. And that made me think of a term that was being used to describe RICO, okay? And one of the requirements to be prosecuted under RICO is that you are working with discrete entities. Discrete entities. That's another way. Well, what's the first thing I thought of? Secret societies, right? Discrete entities. So I thought it was interesting he used that term, corrupt enterprise. We'll be hearing those terms again. And from my very first solo video that I ever did on YouTube, I put the word RICO in my title, my thumbnail, okay? And that's what I said this was, a international military action to enforce RICO laws via treaty with other countries, okay? Other countries. So I'm just looking through the hi Judy, how you doing? Hi Bill. Looking through the chats. Yeah, I got a little bit into that. Let me read that article about Canada. Wicked Trillium reminded me. Uh, and did anybody get what RCMP means? Let me scoot back through RCMP. Bedminster is in New Jersey. Yeah, Georgia, that's the real. Yeah, it wasn't Bedminster single songwriter. It wasn't Bedminster. It was Trump. Oh gosh, I'll come across it. It's in upstate New York. It's not all the way up in Westchester, but it might be what it was. Pappy. Yeah, carbon tax. That's man. All life forms are made of carbon. Okay, carbon. So anyway, let me get back to this situation. It's an article, and RCMP is the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. This secret report from the Royal Canadian Mounted Police said Canadians may revolt once they realize how broke they are. Right from the get-go, the report authors warn that whatever Canada's current situation, it will probably deteriorate further in the next 5 years. A secret RCMP report is warning the federal government that Canada may descend into civil unrest once its citizens realize the hopelessness, that's not a good word, the hopelessness of their economic situation. Quote, the coming period of recession will accelerate the decline in living standards that the younger generations have already witnessed compared to earlier generations, reads the report entitled Whole of Government 5-Year Trends for Canada. Whole of Government 5-Year Trends in Canada. Seven Springs Estate, that's right, single songwriter. Yeah, that's right. So, quote here, for example, many Canadians under 35 are unlikely ever to be able to buy a place to live, it adds. No wonder they're keeping it a secret report. The report, labeled secret, is intended as a piece of, quote, special operational information, unquote, to be distributed only within the RCMP and among the, quote, decision makers, unquote, in the federal government. I wonder how they got a hold of this report. But the decision makers should be happy because the whole goal is for people not to own anything and be happy, right? So the report goes on to say, in addition to worsening living standards, the RCMP also warns of a future increasingly defined by unpredictable weather and seasonal catastrophes, such as wildfires and flooding. Most notably, report authors warn of Canada facing a, quote, increasing pressure to cede Arctic territory. Increasing pressure to cede Arctic territory to who? I don't know. Another major theme of the report is that Canadians are set to become increasingly disillusioned with their government, which authors most likely chalk up to, quote, misinformation, quote, conspiracy theories, and, quote, paranoia. In other words, that, you know, they're not going to take it seriously until it's too late. So it keeps on going. Law enforcement should expect continuing social and political polarization fueled by misinformation campaigns and increasing mistrust for all democratic institutions, reads one of the report's, quote, overarching considerations. Okay. Yeah, the CCP controls quite a few governments. That's two words, governments. So let's see here. Let's wrap this up. Ironically, among the report's more heavily redacted sections is one carrying the subtitle, quote, erosion of trust. The past 7 years have seen marked social and political polarization in the Western world, reads a partial first sentence with the entire rest of the section deleted by government censors. The censor's pen also deleted most of a section warning about, quote, paranoid populism. Where have we heard that before? Paranoid populism. The censor, let's see, capitalizing on the rise of political polarization and conspiracy theories have been populists willing to tailor their messages to appeal to extremist movements. Read the section's one non-redacted sentence. So, yeah, they've taken out quite a bit of it, redacted quite a bit of this report. But you see the general thrust of it. People are going to find out that the future's not very bright. I mean, if you can't afford to buy your own home and never will be able to, I wouldn't be very happy. Think about the picture of that old fella I put up night before last. I built my home at the age of 25, paid for. Now it's taken up half my Social Security check to pay the property tax. You know, the old fella. So I'm just looking through everybody in these other countries are losing their pow-pows. So, oh gosh, I'm looking through these reports, and something else from the Eastern news services that they focus on. Of course, I get a lot of updates. There's a lot of military action hitting Kiev. And a lot of buildings getting blown up. They have their own version of Amazon. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a second. But they even have Candace Owens talking for about a minute or so with it translated. Okay, translated in Slavic language, where she's discussing Macron's wife. And according to her, this individual was born Jean Michael or Michael in French. I don't know what the last name was. And didn't change their name, okay, air quotes, until they were 30 years old. And that's when they changed the name to Bridget. And apparently this individual fathered a number of children. It was at least 3 children. And I may have to listen to it again. She might have said 5. But that, according to her research, there's no doubt that Macron's spouse had another life. I'll put it that way. So the reporters reacted to that saying, finally, important investigations begin. De Gaulle, wake up. That's what they call the French, de Gaulle, like Charles de Gaulle during World War II. They say, wake up. Now I got to watch the words I say. HOMO, okay? S3 actuals, okay? And TRANS, Gender. People have taken over the Fifth Republic. That's another thing. I guess Eastern politics, they refer to France as either the people as de Gaulle and the country as the Fifth Republic. So, well, yeah, Candace Owen did put up some pictures. But that's all over the place, like that story about the 61-year-old man in Wisconsin, and many of the stories that we do hear about here in America, but then they're buried. They're all over the place over there in Eastern news services. Now, the new friend I made, New Zealand, probably doesn't hear any of this stuff. None of it. None of it. Everything's peaches and cream. The government are good people, and they got really great laws. And, I'm not knocking anybody. I'm just saying, what kind of information have they been getting all their lives, especially in the last 10 years? So when you think everything's hunky-dory and then spend 10 minutes with, I'll say, people like us, of course they're going to think we're off our rocker a little bit. They're going to think that we're the ones who have bad information. We're the ones who really do have good information. Now, I know you all know about the assault on the border there in El Paso. I'll talk about that in a minute after I finish with these Eastern news stories and you, Crizzle. But I saw a headline where Mexican President Obrador, is it? He said that he wasn't going to accept anybody being brought back to Mexico by Texas, since the SCOTUS ruled that they could have local law enforcement apprehend people and deport them. And don't you know, 3 of the ones that dissented were, Ketanji Brown, of course, who has concerns about the First Amendment, and and the other one, Sotomayor, of course, and then I guess Elena Kagan. I would imagine. I'm not sure about Elena Kagan, but anyway, Texas is given the green light, and Mexico responded right away. We're not taking them back. So then you end up having a big crowd go down there and charge the fences and stuff in El Paso. But anyway, let me finish up these Eastern news reports. There's a pretty big conflict in areas called Belgrade and Kursk. Kursk is very famous. Okay, remember the submarine that the nuclear submarine that blew up in the North Atlantic was named the Kursk. And a lot of the submariners were trapped for a time. They found letters they wrote to their loved ones while they were, trying to be rescued, but no, they didn't get rescued. But anyway, the Battle of Kursk was a big turning point in World War II. That is another situation where Hitler rolled all the dice and lost. another huge battle that destroyed Army Group Center. Okay, that was after the fall of Stalingrad. So after the Battle of Kursk, it was pretty much the writing was on the wall. And here we are back in Kursk with fighting. So they tried an offensive. Holy cow, I lost my place. They tried an offensive, and let me get back to where I was. And they're failing. Here we go. Oh, gosh. Belgorod and Kursk regions. Okay. The losses of the Ukrainian armed forces. And I get a load of this. This is according to the Russian intelligence. What they're getting out of the battlefield. During the attacks on the points of Belgorod and Kursk regions over 8 days amounted to more than 3.5 thousand people in 8 days, of which 790 were irretrievable losses. That means of course, they didn't survive. The rest are wounded, missing a leg, arm, whatever. 23 tanks, 34 armored vehicles that include 11 Bradleys, 5 Vampire LRS launchers, and an Mi-8 helicopter were destroyed. So they tried this offensive, and they got thumped very, very badly. And now we have ordnance flying into Kiev proper, and stuff going on in Odessa. So a lot of you won't understand the areas I'm talking about because I haven't talked about Ukraine in a long time. But they sprinkle in their report stuff about China. Okay, China is building up its military nuclear arsenal on a scale not seen since World War II, and all signs point to it sticking to plans and ready to invade Taiwan by 2027. A senior U.S. admiral has said. That's from a senior U.S. admiral. That's not their rumors, okay? And then they have an aerial photograph of a aircraft carrier being built. They got these huge cranes over top of this aircraft carrier that's sitting in port. And it says a third aircraft carrier. Fujian, Fujian is the name of this new aircraft carrier. Work continues on the ship to prepare for its entry into service with the People's Liberation Army Navy. It is also expected that the construction of the fourth aircraft carrier will soon be intensified as part of a shipbuilding program, which assumes that the People's Republic of China will have 4 full-fledged aircraft carriers, okay, in very short order. And if they're planning on taking over Taiwan by 2027, that would assume that the carriers will be done by then. I'm looking through the chats real quick. Oh, peppermint, dude, that'll give you heartburn. So, yeah, I see singles wrong right here. Yeah, Peekaboo. Well, I'd love to see them all get marched off in cuffs. But anyway, there's reports about the ordnance flying from dozens of cruise missiles being launched from Russian bombers in the direction of Kiev that happened last night. That's when this Ukrainian version of Amazon, a big building, got it. I'm looking at pictures of it. We received information about another target hit in Kiev. Ukrainian online store Rozetka, whose extensive chain of warehouses and logistics were also used for storing and transporting military cargo. So they're knocking out big warehouses like Amazon in Ukraine because they're not putting up with the cover anymore. This is a civilian site. You know, well, they've got, why you got tanks in there then? So, yeah, so we got all that plus the Canadian situation. Oh my gosh. And according to a Lancet study, researchers estimate that by 2050, now get a load of this, folks, it's about fertility rates. That by 2050, 155 of the 204 countries and territories, which is 76%, will have below replacement fertility. The number of countries and territories below replacement level is predicted to further decrease to 198 of 204 countries. Why is that important? Global population is expected to fall by the latter half of the century and will mark the first global population decline since the bubonic plague of the 1300s, due entirely to falling fertility rates. They don't, in other words, the physiology of the countries have changed. Couple that with the destruction of family norms, values, the increase of termination, right, of pregnancies, and the I'll say decrepit, more of a decrepit state of physiology because of the different foods people are eating, the maybe the operations they're having or things they're injecting in their bodies. But for the entire world population, for the first time in 700 years, over 700 years, that's right in somebody's plans, isn't it? And the last thing I have is a picture, and it's horrible. The picture itself is not horrible, but it's a drone shot of somebody who, a soldier who's not with us anymore, very young, and it looks like they're just sleeping in the grass, but their uniform is brand spanking new, okay? Their weapon is spotless. It doesn't have a scratch on it. Their uniform is spotless, brand new. The yellow band around the helmet, the yellow band around the arm, their pack, their kit, everything doesn't have any dirt on it or nothing. And I'll say it's a kid, okay? Might be 20, 22, that's a kid to me, but they look even younger than that. And you think about people like that not even having a chance at living. And I just thought it was a poignant photo. It's a sad photo. I'll never post it, but I kept it in here to remind myself to tell you all that what they're doing. So anyway, I got a report from Citizens Free Press in America that Massachusetts governor Maura Healey was questioned about an illegal doing something very bad to a disabled girl, and in Boston, okay? And her response was, quote, "Things will happen. Things will happen." I guess that's kind of like the equivalent of some people did something, right? Things will happen. Things will happen. Hundreds of owl eagles rushed the wall at outraged after Texas National Guard troops had deported them to Mexico. This is happening on U.S. territories. They are now the privileged class. And it shows a short video of a bunch of them charging at the border. And I got a quote from somebody Benny Johnson is interviewing. This is an important statistic. And everybody, as Americans, it doesn't matter the party, it really doesn't, hearing something like this. California would have half of the Electoral College votes it has right now, but for illegal, immigration. I didn't even know it was this bad. I didn't even know this, that they decide the number of electoral votes by population, not by citizenship, by population. So how many electoral votes does California have? 55? This is one thing you can goggle. You can goggle to check that. How many do they have? They have twice that number. Twice that number. So if by all rights, they should have around 23, 22. Does anybody know how many electoral votes California has? Astro. Yeah, I see what you're saying about Southern Comfort. Georgia said that too. Yeah, that's a boy, you got to be in the mood for that, right? It's like cough syrup. But how many electoral votes does California have? 54, maybe more now. I thought 55, but it's in the 50s. So that is a real easy thing to remember. And the reason why they have double the electoral votes is easy to remember too, and easy to communicate. And anybody thinks that that's a fair way to conduct business in this country? Lone Wolf said yes, 55. That's great. So Elon Musk put out a tweet, or a X, and he's got a new name for what's her face. Instead of calling her Pocahontas, He calls her, let me see, Senator Karen. Senator Karen's main economic and tax advisor, get this, whose father do you think her economic advisor is? What's her name? What's her real name? Pocahontas. Anyway, I can't think of it. Her economic advisor is Sam Bankman-Fried's dad. So he said, he suspected something like that. And CNN put out that this is a CNN poll. I've heard it said that any Republican that got over 12% of minority voters wouldn't be able to be beat. This CNN poll that they are showing these, that's why I'm saying this is a soft entry into the Truth and Reconciliation Act, I think. Where the real hardcore lefties watching CNN and watching MSNBC won't get mad and turn them off. Keep watching, but they put out something like this. The CNN poll question: would Biden or Trump do a better job on border security or immigration? Trump is beating Biden by almost 30 points. 30 points. And I'm sure as far as economic performance, it's going to be similar. You couple that with African Americans or Black Americans, however they want to term it. He's in the upper 40s with that group also. And you know he's ahead with Asians. So that's a big leap from 12%. Upper 40s for the Black with Asian, almost 30 with Hispanics. Well, remember when I was talking about how when Trump tweeted out Covfefe, and I looked it up, and I read that it was an Arabic word, Arabic for I will stand. And a couple of days later, people were mocking Trump. I mean, this was, what, 2018? People were mocking Trump, saying he misspelled coffee. And I told a friend of mine, I said, no, he didn't. It's an Arabic word. And I went to Goggle it, right? And it was gone. I couldn't find it. And I said, they changed Goggle around. And my friend said, you're crazy. They're not going to change the internet around over a word. Well, guess what? Somebody posted. They changed the definition of BLOOD, bath. Okay? On March 17th, the definition was a ruthless slaughter of a great number of people, massacre, informal, a period of disastrous loss, or reversal. A few, mutual funds. And then on the 21st, let me make sure I didn't drop off. So that was on the 17th. Now the 21st, when you Google it, it says an event or situation which many people are KILL'd in a violent manner. The quote is, he allowed the protest to go ahead despite warnings that it would spark a bloodbath. It's like I was saying with Tank Man, the Chinese Tiananmen Square protest. Many of us remember Tank Man was a hero. He went out there and stared down a tank. Of course, we don't know where he is. Well, we know what happened to him. But they tried to purge him from the internet. They took away the word kofefe. Now, right in front of our eyes, they changed the dictionary definition of bloodbath. Over one mention by Trump in an hour and a half speech that they're trying to get universal outrage over an exaggerated description of what he was saying. Third Eye Code, you got to go. We don't allow caps, and I don't know what you're putting in it, but it's not on subject. If you stay on subject, you're fine to be here, but don't put capitals in, because one or two words, couple, three words in caps are fine, but all caps mean you're shouting, and that gets attention about the rhythm, trust, and safety, and all that stuff. Third eye, yeah. You're welcome to stay if you stay with the topic and don't use caps or too many emojis. It just gets the rhythm going. So the other story is, it was a spammer. Yeah, I got the boot. All right, a bot. Thank you, Nikki. So anyway, the New York Times, another thing, not only goggle that we just proved, when people say conspiracy theories, well, you tell them about Kofefe, tell them about Tank Man, and now you can show them where they changed the definition to bloodbath universally on the internet through Goggle. What did we learn from the 17th letter? Goggle was owned by a Russian oligarch, okay? They used the DARPA program with the federal government. We know that's a fact, to create the thing. And they changed stuff to manipulate people's perceptions and opinions. Three things that are undeniable you can point to, so you can say, look, it's true. They change stuff. They want you to think a certain way. Well, what's the next thing? New York Times. A year and a half ago, and I still got the little, it's like memes with music for about 20 seconds. At the end, it shows a New York Times article that says a collection of important businessmen and politicians worked together to save the 2020 election. And I got taken down for putting that New York Times article up and reading the contents, because it was the DS, right? The deep, and the second word is state. Well, now the New York Times put an article out saying, yeah, there is a deep state, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. So they're admitting it. But a year and a half ago, I was taken down for conspiracy theories. So anyway, What's the other thing that we learned? General Flynn, from plenty of them, reports from the government that the intelligence agencies, most recent thing that they admitted was the spying on Trump. And that the intelligence agency, all the leaders, signed a letter fibbing, lying to us about Russia, Russia, Russia. And now it's generally accepted that those same agencies were involved in JFK. A horrible, brutal, brazen act right in front of the entire world, captured on film by Zapruder, the Zapruder film. And I know some people don't even know what that means. But we know. But all that stuff people were saying were crazy theories, we can all point at now that it's confirmed that it's not. And I could talk about other stuff that I would get in trouble for. Like we're being told now, well, we'll get into that some other time. It's getting a little late in the broadcast to bring it up. But you know, our whole way of life changed for almost 2 years. If you know what I mean. People not going to school, people not going to work, people having to wrap things around their lower part of their face, close their businesses, all in an attempt to destroy an economy and to manipulate our traditional processes. I'll put it that way. So anyway, I put in my thumbnail last broadcast, Sue, baby Sue, and I didn't get around to it. But that's when Trump, day before yesterday, announced he was suing George Stephanopoulos, and there's going to be a lot of lawsuits flying around, folks, of the Lake and Riley type. Okay. If you know what I mean, these officials that are allowing this stuff to happen, and Riley Gaines, okay, women that are losing their opportunities in sports, all the way up to women losing their lives over people making negligent decisions or downright malicious decisions that are hurting very badly a specific part of our population, which are women. They're more vulnerable physicality wise. That's the way it is. And people are making decisions that are causing them to lose opportunities all the way up to their very safety. And there's going to be lawsuits flying around right and left about that. Tony Bobolinsky, he was talking about very specific statements that were sullying his family name. He said, my family name. They're doing it to a lot more than Tony Bobolinsky. And he's going to get his pound of flesh. He's going to be able to sue just like Kyle Rittenhouse, just like that other young man at the very beginning. 11.3 laws of the United States, tort law, and 11.4 treaties of the United States, RICO. You'll see that notion starting to gel. You'll understand what I was talking about 2 years ago when I first started posting. Rome wasn't built in a day. These things take time, but we're seeing where it's all starting to gel together. Smollett's not in jail. Smollett went to jail, Andrew. And Sam Brinton Or you mean Sam Bankman fraud? Sam Bankman fraud's in jail. He's hanging out with the Crips. And but it is a good point that Smollett was allowed to stay out of jail for over almost 2 years while his appeals were pending, and they throw Peter Navarro in jail, and he's still got an appeal pending. I was right. He's got a separate appeal pending. When I got in an argument with that other character, why isn't he getting the Smollett treatment? So anyway, Jessica Tarkoff had to make an on-air apology today to Bob Alinsky. Oh, good. Now she's on Fox, right? I remember. I'm pretty sure it was Jessica Tarkoff about 5 years ago. She was giving her reports early in the morning, and Dana Perino, Jessica had a notebook on her lap and was talking about all this crazy Russia stuff. And I think it might have been about the bounties on fighters over in the Middle East. And Dana Perino set her straight on something and told her she better get her information from somewhere else. And Tarloff or Tarkoff or whatever her name, she was like really flustered and said, maybe you're right, I don't know. And I believe she was getting those 4 a.m. talking points. So we'll see. It'll all start coming together. We're going to start connecting the dots. And that's something else I'll talk about in the future, folks, with the Southern District of New York. That's tied into a lot of dirty crap. And Tony Bobolinsky brought it up when he gave his opening statement about this Abby Lowell, Hunter's attorney. But more importantly, Dan Goldman, a sitting representative who was a prosecutor in the Southern District of New York. There's a lot of dirt in the Southern District of New York going back to Ghislaine Maxwell and her boyfriend Jeffrey E. and the illegal plea deal, all that stuff. We'll go over it in the future, folks. But I see a lot of people dropping off because it's getting late. So I appreciate y'all listening to me sit here and babble. And they said some bad storms were coming through Texas tonight. And Greg Abbott put out a bulletin that they're doing everything to help prepare. That there were some pretty horrible storms coming through. So, are we? Hey, we've got to look out for weather warfare, all kinds of stuff. So, at least we're prepared for it. We know they're not gonna go down without a fight. Just that simple. All right, folks. I appreciate you all spending your precious time with me. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you want to help the channel out, go to buymeacoffee.com, and it's got all you got to do is put in Mountain Man. If you want to help an old man out, and I appreciate everybody that's helped me out this past week. And I see Lone Wolf's in the crowd. Miss Mendersue, Sandy, Bev and Mike, Robin, Tennessee, Angela, and Gary. I appreciate it very much. All right. So, I'll be looking at y'all tomorrow if everything goes okay. If not, it won't be till probably Sunday unless something big happens. But if you hit the notification bell, you'll know. So y'all have a great night. And I appreciate you being with me. And I'll see you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.